Wrestling fans, what's going on? Doug McDonald here, WrestlingRumors.net. Wrestling warm-up right here before Raw every single Monday night at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just going to sit back and hang out and preview what's happening tonight. We got a lot to talk about today. If you listen to Wrestling Rumors Radio, you know that we have a lot to talk about. A lot of different things going on over the weekend. Injuries, status updates on stars, status updates on legends. Different things that are going to be going down at the end of the month at Money in the Bank on June 29th. But, of course, we need to start off talking about Monday Night Raw and start talking about what's going on with The Shield. And, of course, Seth Rollins 1 week ago turned his back and turned heel on The Shield. And, of course, that was the shock factor, the shock value of Raw last week. As I was not able to join you guys on Monday, as we talked about on Sunday, we knew that The Shield would have a really good showing at Payback on Sunday, and then, of course, we come together on Monday night, and here's the turn. As I know all of us in our chat were talking about, Walter, you started out saying it, we were all in agreement. Someone had to turn heel, whether it was Sheamus or a member of The Shield. Something had to give on Monday Night Raw, and, of course, that's what we got. Seth Rollins turning heel. What do you think we see? Obviously, on SmackDown, Rollins came out with Evolution. It's weird, but it's awesome. I'm loving every minute of it. Guys that are in the panel, we got the Real War Hood. We got Patrick with us. We got Walter Sports, and, of course, Mr. Voiceless of the Voiceless, Alex B. Song, joining us tonight. Thanks for watching. We're glad that you're hanging out with us. We're here in the Man Cave. We have returned, and we want to talk about what we expect with Seth Rollins moving forward. There are rumors about where he fits in singles matches over the next few months leading to SummerSlam. And, of course, he's with Evolution now. So what do you expect to see from Seth Rollins tonight? Do we see a new look? Do we see tights a la his NXT days? Do we see him coming out in a suit with Evolution tonight? What do we think we see with Seth Rollins moving forward?
I think a suit would be too... a suit would fit in with Evolution with the way they roll, but I don't know if they would, if Rollins could get to Triple H's tailor that quickly.
I don't know. It's been a week. You'd be surprised. They've got to. Look at Batista. As soon as they went to being Evolution again, Batista was back in his suit. He wasn't in his skinny jeans anymore. So, what do you think? What are the odds? I would say more favorably that he's going to be in a suit tonight than his Shield riot gear.
Wouldn't he have come in if he was going to be in a suit? Wouldn't he have done it on SmackDown?
Nah, that was too soon. But it's Raw. It's their they're aiming to get everything they want to get done tonight. As you've read on WrestlingRumors.net, Triple H is wanting to get WWE TV back into a must-see thing, which is why we got that cliffhanger this past Monday night. And this is where we're going with it. So, Walter, tell me what you think about Seth Rollins moving forward.
Well, kudos to WWE for pulling the trigger. After Extreme Rules and Payback, there was nothing really else for the Shield to do. They had gone through the Wyatt family, they defeated Evolution twice, and they swept them at Payback. So, like you said, we were talking in the chat, and we said, you know what, someone has to turn heel tonight, and I thought the most likely person was going to be a Shield member. The shock value is certainly there because I thought, and a lot of people thought that it was going to be Dean Ambrose because he's the more natural heel. I even thought there was a bigger chance that Reigns would turn over Seth Rollins because I figured, Seth Rollins is the biggest fan favorite even though they have more stake in Roman Reigns. I think what this whole situation is going to turn out to be is just a matter of respect, and I think Seth Rollins is going to admit either tonight or somewhere down the road that he felt like he was an afterthought in the Shield. And if you look back at all these recent episodes of Monday Night Raw, when someone from Evolution or someone on the roster challenges a member of the Shield, it's usually Roman Reigns. Ambrose and Rollins were kind of like his sidekicks in that group, and now I think it's a time for Rollins to step out of that shadow, join Evolution, sign up with the big guns, the man who's in charge of the company, and see what happens from there.
I agree, and we just got word from John Alba, who's actually at the ESPN studios, which is awesome, who's been following Twitter all day because he is on Twitter coverage for them on the news desk right now. Just sent us a message saying that Triple H has just recently tweeted that there's going to be a breaking announcement at the beginning of Raw tonight from the Authority. Got to think this is about Daniel Bryan getting the title stripped off of him and us moving forward with two Money in the Bank matches, one for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and one for a briefcase. And that honestly, as in Warhood, you got to think about what you said earlier on Twitter. If people that have not read that, I mean, it's a dead set on statement from you. Sucks so hard for Daniel Bryan, but it gives us a chance to hit the reset button. It gives us an exciting pay-per-view coming up in 3 weeks. If we have 2 possible matches that are ladder matches with 6 to 8 guys in them, you got multiple options to finally elevate some of your mid-card guys to actual main eventers, because like we were talking about earlier, if you look at the state of the main event roster right now for WWE, if Daniel Bryan comes back too early or comes back at all and gets hurt and is done permanently, and you have worse injuries or injuries such as John Cena's this past weekend, where he didn't do much in the match at a house show last night because his eyes completely swollen shut from an injury that happened on Friday night or Saturday night. What do you do if you lose your 2 top guys? CM Punk is gone. Everybody wants to talk about CM Punk coming back. This would be the time for them to try to throw him a bone and try to get him back because of the way that the main event roster is, but I don't see that happening. You're lost. You have to elevate these guys up, and now they have a chance to do that with 2 Money in the Bank matches. Warhead, you were talking about that. I want you to tell me if they strip Bryan of the title at the beginning of the show, which obviously is what we're going to go ahead and say that's probably what's going to happen, and they build towards 2 matches, Warhead, who do you see in a title match, and who do you see in a briefcase match?
I don't know if this is a popular choice for the title match. I would seeing how Cesaro, because he is your money draw probably for SummerSlam if he's going to work with Brock Lesnar. So you have stake in that. You can put the title and make it more important in that match. And then for the lower card, which is the Money in the Bank briefcase, you have to look to build someone there. And it's kind of hard for me to figure out who it would. Maybe you put like a Randy Orton back in there. If you don't add a third member of the Shield back into that group, you can put Randy Orton into the Money in the Bank match, and then you have a briefcase on Orton for the next foreseeable future until he cashes in, of course.
Yeah, I don't see Orton winning two briefcases back.
I
back
can't
to
really.
back. I don't.
It's been done.
Yeah, I mean, I know it has. I don't see it happening again now. And my biggest thing for looking forward is what we've been proposed is a Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and a Dean Ambrose, Randy Orton. Those matches, in some way, shape, or form, are going to take place at Money in the Bank as singles matches. So go ahead and let's pull them out of the title match, out of the briefcase match, even though they may include them. I don't know. At this point, the script's going to have to change. One of our sources, who is one of the assistants to the writers at WWE, was telling me that they literally were drafting up 2 different scripts for the show, and for one that had one briefcase ladder match, which for me, I don't understand why they put Del Rio in there first. It makes no sense. And then, especially with him going to be leaving when his contract's up here shortly in, I think, July. And then, of course, you have one script that literally had 2 ladder matches on it, one for the briefcase, one for the title, and that's likely what they're going to start running with, and that's why I even said on Wrestling Rumors Radio today, on today's episode, that when Bryan was confirmed, and apparently he found out either Thursday or Friday of last week from doctors that he would not be cleared, and that was the whole reason that WWE said if he can compete, then he'll be in a stretcher match, but obviously he cannot. It was a shoot. They didn't know whether or not he was going to be cleared or not. Obviously he's not cleared. His rehab's not progressing the way they wanted it to, and he's going to have to give up the belts. So they literally had to plan, had to do a plan B, and now they have a plan B, and it's time to, as Walter said, what they did with Seth Rollins last week, pull the trigger, start promoting this other card so that we actually have something to look forward to on June 29th, 2 ladder matches where you can elevate someone with a briefcase. And I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear from AB. Who do you think they should use or could use productively by giving them a briefcase and having them, tease a cash in at any moment?
Well, I think you should definitely put Cesaro in that match for the briefcase, because I do think that he should be someone that wins that briefcase and then can either cash it in that night or somewhere down the road, maybe at the next pay-per-view Battleground. But I think he's going to be the one to walk out with the briefcase that night. So then in the title match, I could see them actually putting in some of the Shield Evolution guys besides Rollins and whoever he faces at the event, because I do think that Triple H is someone that needs to be in that title match now that Bryan's going to relinquish his belt.
Do you think you think Triple H would be in the Money in the Bank ladder match for the
Yeah,
title?
I think they should put him in the title match.
Walter, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with B-Song. I think Cesaro right now is the favorite to win the briefcase if they decide to go that route and have a second ladder match. As far as other people they could possibly just insert in there, we don't know where Del Rio lies. I mean, he could, if they do the second ladder match, he can go both ways.
Right.
I think you see Bo Dallas in there, maybe an Adam Rose, some of these NXT guys that have been on the roster for a couple of months now, maybe even Rusev, Big E, some of these mid-carders that have really nothing going on at the moment. And then in the main event, I think it depends, like B-Song said, what they do with the Evolution and Shield members. I could even see them doing singles matches and saying, you know what, the winner gets inserted into the Money in the Bank ladder match later in the night.
Right. There's so many multiple options here. Patrick, what do you think?
Well, I had gone on record probably right after Mania on Wrestling Warm-Up saying that Bray Wyatt should get the briefcase. I think that would, before all this had happened, that would be a big step up from him. He holds it for a few months, teases the cash in. And then I had said last week that when you were gone, Doug, that, with nothing going on with Bray Wyatt right now, he should take a step back and, Harper and Rowan should, go after the tag titles. But I think now with, that being said, if Bray has nothing to nobody to feud with, I think it's a perfect opportunity for him to be inserted into one of these two matches. Probably for the briefcase. Maybe, he just holds on to it and just, continues his gimmick right now of, being, the eater of worlds, and, he wants to, take over the WWE, and the best way to do that is to hold the title. It's to cash in, and, he holds the power.
Funny thing is with Bray Wyatt is you never want a heel character or a tweener character like he is, because he's not a heel. You don't want one of these guys that professes to be a god hungry for the title. You don't want him going chasing after the title. You don't want him saying, I need that world title to feel like I'm worth something. He's a god. He's a godlike man is what he's saying, so he doesn't need the title. Him coming back and saying, I'm reborn on SmackDown, join me, and of course the Wyatt family gets a tag victory over the champions. Obviously that's going to lead to a tag team title match, as we've been predicting for the last few months, that we're going to get that match. Obviously the money would be at SummerSlam, which we may see a return match at SummerSlam, but we may possibly even see the tag team champions put their titles up for grabs against the Wyatt family at Money in the Bank on June 29th. That would be a nice match to have, since we're going to have so many singles guys in these two ladder matches, if they're going to go with two ladder matches. But for me, if Bray Wyatt goes in, I don't see him going after the briefcase. I see him getting put in the title match, because he is the main eventer now. Anybody that wants to argue that fact has lost their mind. His program with John Cena was way too successful to not now keep him in the main event.
And there's a name right there that we didn't really touch on as far as who could win the championship. Would it really surprise anyone if WWE said, hey, you know what, we're in a sticky situation right now. Let's go to our top guy, someone who's always Mr. Reliable. Let's give the belt to John Cena.
I mean, that's the thing is, B-Song, I love B-Song's idea of having whoever wins the briefcase cash in the same night. If you're, we talked about Rusev, being in a program with John Cena coming up soon. We've talked about, different things going on with, Mark Henry and Rusev are supposed to have a match where ultimately Rusev's going to beat every single African American that's in the WWE, and then we're going to get to, Mr. America himself, John Cena, be the first person to vanquish the Russian foe, which I think is just ridiculous that we're going back to that.
Like we haven't seen that before.
Yeah, we haven't seen Hulk Hogan take on the Iron Sheik, and we haven't seen so many other people like this go down, where the Americans have to beat the Germans / Russians / whoever else, Iran, Iraq, whatever you want to say. It's the classic formula that Vince McMahon thinks never gets old, and that's where we're heading with that. But I do see, what if we see Cena in that ladder match and he wins the title? And then someone like Cesaro, or the only thing with Cesaro winning it is Cesaro and John Cena have talked about wanting to have a program together. John Cena loves Claudio, so you could see that coming somewhere down the future. But for me, it's like, if Cesaro wins, and we're ultimately going to get to Cesaro-Lesnar for SummerSlam and Night of Champions, would it be best to have Lesnar with the title and Claudio take it off of him at Night of Champions?
I said this on Twitter earlier. I think there's only 3 guys you can have win the championship at Money in the Bank, and I think they all have to be established guys. And the names I said were John Cena, Triple H, and then the wild card, Brock Lesnar. I think there's more money in the chase with a guy like either Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, or Cesaro. I think you can get months and months out of them just going after the belt rather than just having them out of the blue, erasing months of build and just getting the belt at the end of the month. Because lest we forget, there's only, 3.5 weeks between Payback and Money in the Bank. They really have to rush this thing.
Oh, yeah, but the funny thing is that what you said, like with rushing it and then coming out of the blue and winning something, June 29th is a reset button. Everything that they've been building towards is going to have to change a little bit.
But don't you think that they've been, in the back of their heads, they've been planning for Daniel Bryan to miss this event? So they have someone...
Yes, they definitely have, backup plans installed. I mean, they've had these things definitely. They've had some kind of thought process as far as who would take it off, or who would take the title if Daniel Bryan couldn't compete. That's definitely been part of their writing process in the last few months. So, it's one of those things where they have an idea, but a lot of the reports that we've gotten about future storylines and all that kind of stuff was if Daniel Bryan was still the champion. And now it's going to change quite dramatically because they're going to have to put someone else in those shoes. And that's what I'm saying. They had a plan A and a plan B, and now they're having to erase plan A and restart with plan B. And hopefully that gives us a more exciting product going into the fall because, as we all know, fall WWE products usually suck ball sack.
You know what's funny? The guy that was supposed to face Daniel Bryan at Money in the Bank, Kane, we're not even talking about him as a legitimate contender to win the belt.
But he is. I mean, he literally
not necessarily. I don't think so.
Talk about a dark horse. I mean, Kane in a ladder match is. I mean, we've seen it before. Money in the Bank, Kane, he puts on good performances. I think you'd more likely be seeing Kane in the title ladder match than Triple H. And that's solely due to the risk factor that ladder matches bring to the table. I mean, holy hell, if John Cena's hurt, Daniel Bryan's hurt, and Triple H gets hurt, what do you got?
Not a heck of a lot.
You're taking out your COO, you're taking out your executive vice president of talent relations, so he could still do that job from, with an injury. But you're taking off someone who they're going to need to use more probably as an in-ring talent because of the absences of different people. If he gets hurt, then they're hurting big time. And these
say what you will about the guy, but WWE probably wishes they had CM Punk right now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, honestly, I'm not an advocate. I'm not an advocate for the guy. What'd you say, AB?
I guarantee you, some point that like these past couple of months, I guarantee you they called back to him and said, "Would you like to come back?" And I guarantee you, he told him, "Hell no."
Well, you got to think. I mean, they threw out, and that might have been why Stephanie McMahon went ahead and threw a jab at him Sunday night during the Payback pay-per-view in Chicago. I mean, that was the thing. We had 2 people acknowledge CM Punk's existence when the chants were going on Sunday night. Obviously, Paul Heyman to start off the thing, which was funny because I definitely said that was going to happen. Paul Heyman started off with that, and then, of course, Stephanie McMahon said, you're going to quit like CM Punk did. And that's one of those things where reports have said since it started, since he left in January, that the 2 had come to terms with an agreement where they wouldn't speak out on what's going on. Maybe that ended over the last few weeks because CM Punk acknowledged that he was retired with a brief statement. And, of course, then you have Stephanie McMahon finally throwing a jab at the guy on live WWE programming. So
which came first? I'm sorry.
Which came first what?
Which came first? Did Punk announce he was retired?
Punk's article was released last Thursday, and then, of course, Sunday night was when Steph threw the two weeks ago, 2 Thursdays ago.
Yeah.
Was when Punk May 29th, I do believe.
Okay.
So, I mean, but I'm saying over the last few weeks with Daniel Bryan's situation, B-Song, I would not be surprised if Punk was called because look at where they are. and it's going to come to a place where they're going to have to build up these guys. And that's why I enjoyed the fact that Bray Wyatt is now elevated into a main event spot. He does not have to fight Dolph Ziggler anymore. He does not have to fight R-Truth anymore. Like, he doesn't have to go against these guys. He is now main event status. He can go against whoever he wants on the main event roster.
But the problem with that is that there's not a lot of guys on the main event roster.
I know,
right now.
that's what I'm saying. You got 4. You had a babyface stable in the Shield that were main eventers now, and then you had, of course, Evolution. So now you've got 4 guys that are main event roster level. And then you got John Cena, who Bray Wyatt's been feuding with. And apparently, John Cena is going to get all in the Authority's face now, if what we saw on Monday continues. It's one of those things where it's time to hit the reset button. It's time to start fresh and to start to, try to build some of these guys up. Rusev, obviously, is heading up the squash mountain. The way that he can be elevated as being a heel that squashes everyone. And, of course, there's going to be national themes to everything. But I think that if he works with John Cena soon, that Cena can also elevate Rusev to a main event status. Not if it's different with Rusev than it is with Wyatt. John Cena cannot go over Rusev 2 matches in 2 out of 3. It has to be different. John Cena cannot if John Cena crushes Rusev in a 3rd rubber match, then it's Ryback all over again, and we're screwed with Rusev being a monster heel for the main event roster. So I don't know what they're going to do. Walter, I completely agree. The main event guys are just, there's too few to see what's actually going to happen here, and I think that's why they, Del Rio's been world champion how many times? He was WWE champion. I think that's why they put Del Rio, who has never been over with the crowd, ever, but has been a champion, has put on good matches. He's a great wrestler. I think that's why they put him in there and said, okay, well, Del Rio's been a champion. Maybe we can try to elevate him to some semi-main event status again, even though we've been wasting him for the last 6 months. Stupid, but they got to move him up. They got to get people in that. The only other option I have is to do an all-star match like they did last year for the title. And if they do an all-star match, who do you see in that thing? Obviously, Chris Jericho could come back and be in it at any point in time. They've been teasing that for forever.
Didn't you bring up though that he's about to go on tour?
Fozzy is about to go on tour, but he could make one appearance at Money in the Bank and be fine.
I don't know. And then you just eliminated Ziggler from the equation. He was a former champion.
But again, just the way that they've been using Ziggler and the way they've been using Sandow and the way they've been using some of these guys, I don't see them being anything other than in a briefcase match. And you know what? I don't even he got eliminated immediately in the first round of the qualifying matches for the daggum ladder match.
He would have been a no-brainer to go in there.
Well, he still might be.
They're still gonna have to put him in there. That's a funny thing.
Yeah, now they probably have to put him in there if you're gonna have that second.
But do you think WWE is really going to do right by this guy?
By Ziggler?
Yeah.
No.
What evidence have they given you that they give 2 damns about Dolph Ziggler? And do you think after he just lost to Del Rio last week, they're going to say, well, we'll put him in the other one. Fans won't notice that he lost his qualifying match.
But that's their logic.
That's their logic?
The only thing that I can see that will elevate Dolph Ziggler back to where he was is Ric Flair actually being used as his manager.
Well, the only way you get Ziggler back in is if you put him in like that, second chance, whatever battle royal or tournament that they normally have, because they usually have one of those.
Yeah, they usually do have one of those. So I mean, you never know.
I'm interested to see what his contract situation is like, because this is a point that I drove across in our year-end newsletter we sent out with our big predictions, where I said Dolph Ziggler wouldn't last a year as a WWE superstar, and then I think Justin LeBar brought it up that there's actually more money for him right now on the independent scene than he would be making in WWE. So we don't know when his contract expires, but considering how they're booking him, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if he just ditched.
I mean, especially since we know that they're just letting contracts expire. They're not firing anyone. They're not doing anything like that. They're just letting it expire. So if he opts to not re-sign a contract, he's out. Now, then you have the case of people like Rey Mysterio, who gets your contract re-signed for you. And of course, if you don't know the status of that, Rey Mysterio's contract was set to expire in June, and Vince McMahon went ahead and re-signed him for another year, telling him that he owes him time for how much time he's sat out on the bench due to injuries, which to me, if I'm Vince McMahon, I'm probably going to do the same thing. This guy sells merch. Kids love the guy just because he's a mass superstar. And even though he can't go like he used to in the ring, he's still a well-known name. And for me, if the guy keeps, I keep signing the contracts and he sits out for a year or two, a year here, 7 months here, 8 months here, I might be saying you owe me some time too. The only thing is that Rey Mysterio could come back and sue Vince McMahon for signing his contract without his permission, which who knows if that could be the case or not. I think it's an interesting tale of how they're starting to do contracts and stuff. It's kind of crazy. But I'm not. Anybody think that Vince McMahon's in the wrong for doing that?
Yeah, if he can't legally do it.
But I mean, do you think that he has an argument?
Yeah, a moral argument maybe, but he doesn't have a legal grounds to do it.
No, I agree that he doesn't have the legal grounds to do it, but I think that it shows his balls and it shows that he, cares about his product and cares about making sure that he gets the amount of time someone signed up for in the first place.
Yeah, but all Mysterio's good for at this point is being an ambassador to south of the border or whatnot. You're not going to get much out of him in the ring.
Well,
I know, but that's exactly what they're going to use him for. It's for an ambassador to.
Do you hear him doing anything? Am I just completely off the ball, and he just never actually is? He hasn't really done anything except for maybe a appearance on Raw once every 2 months. Am I missing something that he's doing?
He's got a broken hand.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Well, he's
hurt now.
But even before that, when he's healthy, they weren't using him. What's the point of keeping?
Well, they had him lose to Barrett.
They had him lose to Barrett, but they can't do anything with him because he literally keeps getting hurt. I mean, he literally came back from knee surgery and 8 months of rehab, and got hurt in the first appearance that he made at what was it last year? Battleground?
Yeah.
Survivor Series. What was it?
One of the two.
Yeah. I think it was Battleground.
He came in and literally got hurt in the match. He tweaked his knee, same knee. He just re-injured what he had rehabbed, and then spent the next few months still working on it, but limping around like crazy. Couldn't even run into the ring, and of course, it doesn't help. It doesn't help your career status either when everyone's expecting Daniel Bryan to come out number 30 at the Royal Rumble, and you come out and get booed.
Yeah.
Terrible idea.
Poor guy.
Yeah, but let's talk about what we got on the rest on deck for what we may see on Raw tonight. Obviously, we're going to get build towards Money in the Bank now. They kind of have a direction of where they're going to go. That's why the show's going to start out with it. Likely going to see Daniel Bryan right at the start. Likely going to get the two ladder matches right at the start. Then they have to start building towards the two matches, and that's where I think we're going to get some interaction with John Cena, interaction with a bunch of different guys, saying that they want chances to be in one of these two matches. And we're going to get the next few weeks leading up to the pay-per-view, we're going to get some good qualifying matches on free TV. So I'm excited about that, but I think another thing that we've seen being worked towards is Cody Rhodes and Goldust, whether that's going to happen at Battleground or at SummerSlam. It's coming. Imminent. It is imminent. We do have an article on WrestlingRumors.net where it's seemingly Ted DiBiase Jr. and Goldust are trolling the fan. All these people. The thing is that there was a tease that Ted DiBiase Jr. might team with Goldust. I don't see it happening. The guy's not wrestling anymore. He hasn't been on WWE TV in over a year and a half. His contract. He asked to not have a renew on his contract earlier in the year, and has started doing insurance or construction or something. I mean, he's working for a living. So I don't see that happening. But we're leading to Cody and Goldust. Where do we see Cody wind up after that match happens? I mean, where do we see Cody fitting in? I could see Cody being in a briefcase ladder match, but I don't see him in the title ladder match for damn sure. So where do you see Cody going from here? After you have a Cody Goldust feud, where does Cody Rhodes wind up?
Stuck in the mid card.
I mean, if you want to be extremely positive, he could win the briefcase. I think that was talked about a couple years ago, or not a year ago. Him being one of the main people for the briefcase. But
Well, that was to build towards the World Heavyweight Championship.
yeah,
I don't see Cody Rhodes in any time in 2014 being a caliber, someone that's caliber to being a main eventer. So, do we see him start going after the IC title again? What do we see here?
I don't know
do we
what
get?
to do with Cody Rhodes, man. I think the ship has sailed on him, to be quite honest. That he's had several chances to make something of himself. I think the best work he ever did was when he was kind of doing that Dementor thing where he had the plastic mask on and he had the crazy music and whatnot. And I think since then, it's just been a downward spiral. He's had his moments in the sun, dating back to Battleground last year when him and his brother beat the Shield and they had the locker room come out to celebrate with them. But at the same time, it's like, okay, he's athletic, he has a good look, he has the Rhodes name behind him. But I mean, he's kind of limited on the mic. I don't. People might disagree with me on that, but I think him being a main eventer, I just don't know how you get him to that point now.
Yeah, the funny thing is, man, as much as he is hindered by the lisp, and of course we would say Jack Swagger is hindered by the lisp. Dusty Rhodes was never hindered by the lisp because of his charisma. Which Cody Rhodes doesn't ever really get to show. The guy's an excellent worker in the ring. I love watching Cody Rhodes wrestle. He's consistent. He's good. He's always entertaining as far as what he does in the ring. It's just, and I think that when they gave him the mic a couple weeks ago and he got to speak up against the Authority, got to talk, got to actually have speaking time. I thought that was pretty good. I thought what he did, with Batista and Orton and Triple H, I thought that was pretty good. I thought that he showed me something. He showed me some of that charisma that that he's been lacking and that I have been wanting to see. But I just don't know where they're going to go with him. If I have to say anything as far as where I see him going, it's straight to the IC title again, and that doesn't fare well for him, and it doesn't fare well for the strap because they need to elevate it and they need to elevate him and. Either one of those is going to happen, but I can guarantee you we're going to see Goldust with someone else tonight as a tag team partner take on, Ryback. More than likely Ryback, because that's who Goldust keeps getting fed to. So it's interesting to see actual wins happen for Ryback. For Ryback to actually get a pay-per-view win this past Sunday was impressive, to say the least, because that doesn't happen very much. What do you see? Do you see Ryback and Curtis Axel in one of these ladder matches? That's a good question.
Hopefully.
Where do you see him? See him in the briefcase?
Oh yeah, you can't put those two in the title one, but you could definitely put one of the two in the briefcase one because you're at the point where there's going to be so many men. Like you said, I do think they're going to have like that all-star match for the title, and then guys like Ryback will probably be in that. Briefcase one.
But if you have all these tag teams in the briefcase one, then where do all your singles mid card guys like your Ziggler, like your Sandow, who has been doing what Big Show did in 2000 over the last few weeks and just coming out impersonating all these different gimmicks and people. What the hell are they doing with Damian Sandow right now? Where are they tonight? Anybody know where they are tonight? Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Oh, look, it'll be a lively crowd in Minneapolis.
Oh, it's going to be awful. But I'm just saying, who does Damian Sandow come out as tonight? A Timberwolf?
Adrian Peterson.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love. I think that's the way
Oh,
they
God.
You want to get some heat.
Yeah, Minnesota ain't fought alone right now.
Waste. They're wasting. He's entertaining. Every character he's come out as has been entertaining. To me, it's a waste. The guy can be a good heel, especially now that they've shed the whole wear the robe, wear the towel around the neck kind of part of his gimmick, and he can come out and he can speak aggressively. They ruined it. He had that pipe bomb at Raw in Greenville, and then of course the next few weeks he's been a stupid gimmick each week. So what the heck are they doing with the guy? He'll definitely be at the. I think he'll definitely be in the briefcase match if they do too. But
who's Sandow?
Yeah.
No way.
You don't think he'll be in the briefcase?
No way.
After his performance in the last one.
I think I think one of these ladder matches is only going to have 5 guys. I think the more people you have in both matches, that basically diminishes what you have with the rest of the card, because it's Money in the Bank, and you're going to have 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches, but you need to have something to follow those, and you're going to have your Shield, Evolution, you're going to have Rollins and
so who does Sandow face? So who does Sandow face at Money in the Bank?
No one.
And he's going to come out in Boston as somebody.
Doesn't mean he has to have a match. He can just do a segment.
Come out effing Paul Revere. Who knows what he's going to come out as?
John Cena's rap gimmick.
Have Big Show come out and knock him out.
That would be awesome. Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It could be big. They could be building towards Big Show Sandow, because I thought it was hilarious that Big Show was the one to come out Monday during the segment with Sandow when Big Show did the same damn thing in 2000.
Just a friendly reminder that he's still around.
Who ought to imitate? I mean, the Showster was obviously the most popular one when the Big Show came out as Hulk Hogan.
That was like 2001.
With a ball guy. I think it was 2000. I thought all of that.
One of those years, yeah.
I thought his run in 2000 was when he exited the heel program where he was the Undertaker's tag team partner, and Undertaker was hurt. Early 2000, then Big Show didn't have anything to do. He became a face and was doing all these imitations. I know he tagged with Rikishi. He was Shokishi at one point. He did Hulk Hogan, and I want to say he did he do Val Venus?
He did DDP.
He did DDP, I think, but that was during the that was Survivor Series 2001. That was during the Invasion deal. But I think he did Val Venus during the 2000 run. He did a bunch of people during.
Actually, he did DDP when he was doing his "That's Not a Bad Thing, That's a Good Thing" gimmick. He had like the shiny white teeth, and I don't think that was Invasion, was it?
Yeah, it was right before the Survivor Series match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because didn't and in that didn't he say? I want to say one of the things that Show said was, me losing my job is not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Like we have to really argue about this. You're probably
this is what we're dealt with Big Show, because he has no career. At this point, he's just done. But what do we think about Bray Wyatt as far as future programs past Money in the Bank? I mean, he's facing John Cena in the dark match at every show. Still facing John Cena at house shows. And of course, we were talking about a possible John Cena Bray Wyatt match at SummerSlam. So but now that I saw that that video promo from Bray Wyatt at SmackDown, now I don't get the feeling that they're going to continue with Bray Wyatt John Cena. So where does Bray Wyatt go after John Cena?
Where you have to go, like feud wise, or like
where does it go?
Yeah.
Where does it go? Who do you stick him with? Who does he feud with coming up? If it's not him or Bo Dallas.
I mean, I made that comment last week and it got almost left off the show for it.
That's why.
Because it's the silliest thing. It's difficult to foresee what you do with Wyatt, because it's like, okay, you have Daniel Bryan, he's hurt. You can't put him with Cena because you just did that for like a year and a half. And then the faces in the Shield are dealing with Orton and Rollins. So all of your top faces are accounted for. I think what WWE just does is that they have him win a qualifying match and just get him in Money in the Bank, and that'll buy them some time until they can figure out what they really want to do.
I think we're going to see a lot of
that. No one's left.
No, that's the issue. I'm not even looking at Money in the Bank, because what Bray Wyatt does at Money in the Bank is what Bray Wyatt does at Money in the Bank. I'm looking at future feuds for the guy. Where do you go?
After you end the Roman Reigns Triple H, Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt as the feud, would that I mean, I'm just thinking of top guys.
I would be interested.
But if Reigns and Triple H goes into SummerSlam, you have from now until then to do something.
That is the problem. That's what I'm trying to.
We're not going to see Shield and Evolution separate until SummerSlam.
In a perfect, I mean, it falls under the same category as a Shield, but I would absolutely love for there to be a Bray Wyatt Dean Ambrose feud at some point.
Yeah, going forward, that'd be incredible. I love the fact that Jake the Snake Roberts is mentoring Dean Ambrose, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
He's apparently dating Renee Young.
Yes.
Apparently, yeah, that's the rumor.
Good for him.
I know, right?
Titty master, right?
Titty master. It's funny. She's like the most reserved chick they have. Like the most doesn't show a lot of skin. Like just very sweet and nice. And she's going after the titty master. Just lets you know that he is exactly that. He is the master.
I followed her when she
titties.
worked at the Score here in Toronto. She had her Aftermath show and whatnot. She did that for a couple of years. She's like the coolest girl, and it's awesome to see her elevated to this position. She's their number one backstage announcer. It's not even close.
No. She's awesome. Like she's very professional. She gets showing the emotion when she needs to, but she doesn't let a lot of things rattle her. You know, it's very. I love her interactions with Paul Heyman. Renee Young and Paul Heyman's interactions are always just classic. And she's a great hand. She's a great hand to have.
And I'm sorry, Brian, but I'm sorry, Daniel Bryan, but Dean Ambrose and Renee Young are the new power couple as far as I'm concerned.
Well, if they ever bring light to Dean Ambrose and Renee Young being a couple,
they don't want to have Dean Ambrose show any emotion at any point.
Right,
they don't want him to have a heart.
right, exactly. Until he's a face on his own. No, there's no way. I got Punkin Wrestling at Punkin Wrestling on Twitter saying that Sean William Scott's from Minnesota. Sandow should come out as Stifler tonight from the American Pie movies.
I like that.
Really random. Where did you come up with that? Like what?
We need Stifler's mom though.
Stifler at that. Well, you could bring out someone as Stifler's mom. Just have them dressed up.
You need Stifler's mom, Stephanie McMahon. Maybe she's down.
Oh.
Hello. Hey, I got your dream.
Yeah, or Linda McMahon.
Okay. No. Moment ruined.
What? No, I think that's obviously, that's who knows what the heck Sandow's going to do. Nobody knows.
And since I talked about Ambrose, something that we didn't really touch light on, there's rumors, and the rumors that I don't really buy into, that we might get a third Shield member. We might get someone joining the group. What do you guys think about that?
Right.
Dumb.
Yeah, I don't think they should add anybody.
So dumb. You're going to turn this into the Nexus 2.0, and you're going to ruin it.
Or NWO 2.0, or
any group with a 2
behind it. I mean, any faction that loses their original members, there's not a lot of factions that are still prominent and influential once they get the original guys out. Or they over-dilute their guys with a bunch of people. NWO, that was obvious. I mean, they put way too many people in it. And, of course, when NWO version 2.0 came out in the WWE, it was just a waste. And, of course, you got Four Horsemen. Originally, Gene and Ole Anderson, they get rid of Ole. And, that one still went well. But until they brought in Sting and Luger and Malenko and Mongo and Benoit. I mean, when they brought all those guys in, it was still cool, but it was not the Four Horsemen. So I mean, that one of those things where if they bring in a third guy, who the heck is it? We've talked about the fact that it could be Corey Graves. It's funny that I literally said that to Chris Walter earlier. Then he brought it to my attention that Justin Lambar said that at some point, which is really funny to me because Justin and I usually see eye to eye on a bunch of things. I had no idea that he said that. I think all of us, even Patrick, put 2 and 2 together earlier and said, we haven't seen Corey Graves on NXT programming for a while. It could be happening. It could be Corey Graves. I mean, his moveset kind of, it's not too far off from Rollins as far as some of the things he does acrobatically.
The problem is if they do that, he's not going to get over when it breaks up in a couple months. You're not going to have that same build that Dean, Seth, and Roman got.
Let me tell you something. If they bring in another guy, that faction's not breaking up in a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be dragged on.
It's going to move forward for another 6 to 7 months. It'll move forward at least till Rumble.
And whoever it is, they automatically, if it's an NXT guy, they're putting the main event scene right away.
Main event immediately. And there's only a few guys in NXT that they would give that opportunity to. And for the marks that say Sami Zayn, shut the hell up.
There's no
Zayn
way.
Is not going to be a Shield member.
He doesn't fit.
And they say that he fits in perfectly, and I'm saying, how? In what way does Sami Zayn fit in perfectly with the Shield?
Ditto Adrian Neville, too.
I mean, seriously. Where does Adrian Neville fit in? Get out of here.
John Morrison fits in better.
Okay, so we got the list that WWE.com put out, which is nothing but a troll, fest. And of course, it's Daniel Bryan is one. Daniel Bryan can't even wrestle. They're talking about Daniel Bryan being part of the Shield. Get the hell out of here. And then, of course, you have John Morrison. Bring John Morrison back. Who else was on that list?
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes.
Big E.
Big E.
Oh, God.
Who else?
There's two more.
Did someone say Ziggler yet? I think he was on.
Yeah, Ziggler was on the list too.
Ziggler.
It's.
I can't even.
I can see Ziggler being of help to them, but I can't see him losing his show-off gimmick. Like the way that he shows his charisma would be out the door, because he would have to. Not necessarily as far as like how he performs and how he talks, but he's gonna have to have a totally different demeanor if he's part of the Shield.
He's a naturally charismatic guy. I think he can handle himself, and no matter what situation he's in. He helped get a cheerleading faction over for a little bit.
That nobody held together the cheerleading faction. That Spirit Squad's awful.
That was.
That was terrible. They were literally a punching bag for DX when DX came back.
I liked when they had the bear horde come out. They were blowing the damn bear horn. That was amazing.
Righty! Huge! And it was bad. Bad. But I mean, Corey Graves is not a bad choice. But if anybody else on the roster has nothing to do, it's Big E.
Whoa.
And of course, you see all the people that say CM Punk. CM Punk should come back and be part of the Shield, and it matches up in the timeline. Like he brought him to the main roster, so it'd be fine if he came back and was part of the Shield.
It wouldn't surprise me, though, if at Money in the Bank we get another match with Rusev and Big E, probably a flag match, because they're waving the flags around a lot lately. And what was up with that stupid ceremony last week that amounted to absolutely nothing with Rusev standing on the podium?
It went for so long. Oh, my God, that thing was so long.
They're trying to build heat for this guy,
Well,
and it just doesn't work because no one in America cares that he's Russian.
Because America isn't
Bulgarian.
a patriotic country anymore. I mean, honestly, they just really aren't. We can celebrate D-Day all we want. Last week. I mean, that's fine. But wrestling is different. Everybody knows about kayfabe. Everybody knows Lana is not Russian. Okay, Lana is not Russian. The girl is from Florida. She went to Florida State University. She's my age. Like,
who cares where she's from? You know what I mean?
One of the people that Brent Musburger said, "Oh man, to be one of those that go to Florida State, there's a lot of happy guys at Florida State University because she's got her titties hanging out on national TV at a freaking Florida State Clemson game. Like this happened. All right, like I know this girl, and the fact that everybody says C.J. Perry is freaking Russian is an idiot. And that's the thing, is it's not the same anymore. You don't think of Boris Koloff and guys like that. The Iron Sheik, it's a gimmick. It's gimmick, and everybody knows it's gimmick. So they just don't buy into this whole patriotic thing anymore, and that's why these gimmicks don't work. Did Heidenreich work? No.
The only one
Did
that
Vladimir
worked.
Kuznetsov work? No. Did Muhammad Hassan work?
Oh, because they did that gimmick at the worst possible time.
Yeah, wait, that's not the gimmick's fault.
But
they were going to give him the world title.
They did it but they did it on purpose at that time.
And then it offended everybody.
Why do you think they brought in a Middle Eastern bad guy like that? Because of the freaking war in Iraq. That was the whole point.
The problem it went too far was the London bombings, right? That's where everything I've heard.
No, the reason it didn't work.
There's terrorist stuff everywhere. That was the issue. They were literally. I mean, the freaking Boston Marathon bombing was due to terrorism.
I think it was.
Matter.
Well, I don't know what network it was on. I think it was UPN at the time.
It was UPN.
What put it over the top was they had these 6 guys in masks and just pure black outfits come out, beat the hell out of the Undertaker, and then they carried him out of the ring like a cross, like a sacrificial thing.
Yeah,
and UPN was like, no, we can't have that.
And no, because what happened was the day before they did that was the London bombings. The London bombings happened, then they did that, and they were just like, got so many complaints they had to stop the whole program.
It doesn't, man. The whole issue is they put the gimmick out there after 9/11 on purpose. Okay, here's now a country that's seemingly coming together again because apparently some terrorists blew up our World Trade Center buildings, and now it's all right, well, let's put a Middle Eastern gimmick out there as a bad guy, like we did with Germans in World War II era, like we did with Russia in the Cold War era, and now we can use a Middle Eastern guy. And apparently it didn't go over too well because our country and our world is way too PC for that to work now, and B, it's gimmick, it's kayfabe, and people know it, and they're not behind it. The only time that gimmick worked was at WrestleMania when Hulk Hogan came out to a Real American for the first time in his return. That was it.
He said he was from Detroit, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here. Not working. Not working one daggum bit. Raw goes live at 8 p.m. It's 6:21 now. We got 9 minutes for us to go down a list and really talk about what we think we're going to see. What we expect to see going forward to Money in the Bank, because honestly, we've talked about a bunch of stuff over the last hour, and I'm still at that point where anything can happen. We are at a spot where anything can happen, and now it just comes down to what we want to see happen. What we individually, or what you as a viewer, what you as a fan wants to see go down, because as much as you don't realize it, man, we really do as fans drive a lot of the content on that program. I mean, you would be very surprised. The guy that I know that works for WWE says, I mean, especially after what you saw happen when Punk left and getting Bryan in the title match and stuff, Triple H is one of those people that really has his ear close to the floor as far as what fans want to see and what they're excited about and what they're not. He's not this guy that just carries a shovel around and tries to bury everyone. If that was the case, all three members of Evolution would not have lost this past Sunday night. For those that want to keep putting out memes like that, go ahead because they're hilarious. But they don't have any real merit or truth behind them, as you can see. Now that we know Triple H really wants to get the WWE programming, SmackDown and Raw, and everything else that they produce to a really good spot, like to a really good entertainment value where their free TV isn't just shat leading up to the pay-per-view, because now with the network, they have to have good promotion and good entertainment leading to the pay-per-view, or no one's going to want to watch it. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the numbers were for Payback, how many people actually watched it, because as we talked about over and over again, the build towards that pay-per-view was absolute crap. I mean, I literally, the week before, I hated my life when I was at Raw in Greenville. That was terrible. And of course, then the next 2 weeks were even worse. And the go-home show, I literally wanted to change the channel, and if I wasn't doing live Twitter coverage, I would have. It's one of those things where the build was awful, and Triple H realizes this and had an emergency meeting during that go-home show and said, okay, from here on in, we have to do better. We have to put out better TV that people want to see, shock value, cliffhangers at the end. We've got to get people watching this show, or else we're not going to get subscribers to the network. We're not going to get people that really care about watching the pay-per-view, because if they don't care to watch the pay-per-view, they're not going to care to sign up for the network, since that's one of the only ways you can actually watch it now. If you don't have a cable provider, guess what? You have to have the network. And, of course, unless you're free streaming online like a lot of people do. But that's one of those things where you got to have better stuff. So I'm expecting better TV. I'm expecting, if that's the truth, I'm expecting good build towards Money in the Bank. You have 3 weeks. You have multiple options now. I expect to see a good show tonight. If I look down and it's 9:30 p.m. and I want to shoot myself, then I'm going to really hate my life, because I really want this to do better. I thought last week's Raw, and I want to hear you guys, I thought last week's Raw was really good. As far as, entertainment value, I didn't feel like I was, stupefied by watching it. I thought it was actually pretty good the way they did things. I thought some of the comedic angles were lame, but of course, I thought that there were some good high points too. And of course, a cliffhanger leaves you wanting more. So I was at least excited and happy with last week's episode. What did you guys think of last week's Raw?
That was good.
Yep, great.
You guys are very enlightening with your
Good.
commentary. I just want to add that.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought the comedic angles were really bad. There was only, but you exclude that, there was only the one only segment I did not really like besides the comedic angles was the Brie Bella 2-on-1 handicap match, which was
Nikki.
Was it
Nikki.
Nick? Whatever.
It was Nikki.
Whatever.
Brie's fired. Brie quit.
Whatever
Brie
Bella it
Come on,
is.
Warhead.
Yeah.
There are
Whatever.
2 obvious giveaways of which Bella is which.
Is there really?
Her personality and the
eyes.
length of her hair.
Yeah.
But
That's Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, he would know. But yeah, as far as Raw last week is concerned, I like the opening because it got Batista off television, and we all know he's gonna go off and do his movie right now. And I thought his, Queen-like wave to the fans was a nice troll on his behalf.
Awesome. Yeah.
I thought
Great.
the Usos versus Harper and Owen was one hell of a match. And if you missed it last week, do yourself a favor, go on YouTube and find some footage of it because it was a solid tag team match from bell to bell. And then the ending with obviously Rollins turning. But then again, if the show ended any other way with Rollins not turning or just like a run-of-the-mill ending, I don't think I would be praising Raw as much as I am right now. I think that pretty much was like the highlight. That's what we're talking about. But everything else was just kind of filler. We're still getting El Torito and Hornswoggle crap. I don't get it. But
I do get it because we got a daggum Leprechaun movie coming out.
Yeah, but it's segments like that prove that Raw really needs to go back to 2 hours.
I agree.
I don't mind the comedic stuff though. It's bad, but it's bad at the point where you actually like. I'm entertained by how bad it is. That's not the like.
Only you, buddy.
The WLC match was entertaining.
Yes.
Air match went on way too daggum long on the pre-show Sunday, and then that Monday night's match was awful. And I at no point during that match, if they keep doing this run under the ring thing, and they do that with every little person. I'm gonna run under the ring. I'm gonna run under the ring. I'm waiting for something under there to go wrong. Like I'm waiting for them someone to run into a cable and unplug the mic or something. Like I'm just waiting. They're just flippantly running underneath. I mean, I saw the same spot in Greenville. We saw it on the pay-per-view, and then we saw it on Raw the next night. So I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. I really wish it was over. Hornswoggle has a skullet, and that's gross. He looks like the Ripper, the villain from Last Action Hero, which is a terrible movie, but that's exactly who he looks like. And if you know the movie, you know the reference. It's terrible.
And you're going to tell me that the guy didn't decide to shave the rest of his head after that
haircut?
Come on.
Get out of here. Stupid waste of time. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I do want to point out that if you go to WWE.com, they have completely changed up the 5-point preview over the last hour of us talking since Triple H's tweet went out. The whole first part is now definitely leaning towards the fact that Daniel Bryan will be stripped of the title, that the breaking blockbuster announcement has everything to do with the title, and of course we already figured that part out just from reading the tweet. So no new information except for the fact that WWE.com is even promoting the fact that this blockbuster announcement has to do with Daniel Bryan, the titles, and Money in the Bank. So we're leading to Money in the Bank. What?
I'm sorry.
What?
Does Daniel Bryan give it over like willingly? Are we going to see him literally just hand it over, or is he just going to actually just be stripped?
Stripped.
Stripped.
That's the only way storyline works going forward if Daniel Bryan comes back and can get back in the title picture. Stripped is the way to go. Stripped puts heat. I can't talk. Stripped puts heat on the Authority. If he surrenders it, I mean, they were saying that stripping him would make him a martyr. He would have to surrender it himself, but at this point, I can see them definitely coming out and saying, well, WWE medically, WWE's medical staff has deemed Daniel Bryan unfit to wrestle at Money in the Bank, and we have to, now you have to come out and surrender it. He comes out, he does this little thing where he says no, and then they strip him. It has to happen.
It would be so perfect if we see some sort of a segment backstage where we notice that Triple H paid off the doctors to say that Bryan couldn't compete.
That'd be amazing.
That would be such a heel generator for him. My God.
It would. I mean, that right there is perfect. That's a perfect way to get heat on the situation, and that would be something I would love to see. It would make me more interested in the characters. It would make me more interested in the storyline. It would make me more interested to see what happens when Daniel Bryan comes back. To see heelish moves go into all this. But
when do we see him again?
Hopefully not until SummerSlam. If he's even able to go at SummerSlam.
I think Night of Champions.
Yeah, it'll be past that. Yeah, I know.
The funny thing is that they, obviously we talked about it on WrestlingRumors.net over and over again. They really wanted him for this pay-per-view. They put pressure on him, and the doctors just say, you can't go. If you do, you're liable to lose all feeling in your right arm. And that's one of those things where, do you want an Edge situation? Do you want him to have to retire really early?
Exactly.
Or do you want him to be able to come back possibly and compete again? So they warned him back for this. I think that they're pulling him from all the live shows. I know that they still have yet to pull him for the Madison Square Garden show in July, which he was scheduled to face Triple H in a street fight for the title. What do we? That's going to have to change because he may not be. Obviously, he's not going to be the champion after Money in the Bank. So that match is going to be changed. So if it's me and I'm the WWE and I'm trying to, obviously they don't want the Yes Movement to die. It was one of the best organic things to happen in the last 2 years for the company, especially with Punk leaving. They needed the Yes Movement. They don't want that to die, so they want to keep Daniel Bryan, and his fans relevant. They want to keep the thought of the Yes Movement still being strong in our minds. It's not obviously as strong as it once was because of all this stuff. And to me, I think you said it earlier in our chat, Walter, if he gets some time off for a few months and still appears on, still somehow like via satellite or something, or they do some packages of him rehabbing, trying to get back and come back. I mean, that'll look at what that did for Triple H in 2001. I mean, they just showed him working out. They showed his rehab, and he went from being the most hated person in the wrestling business to the most respected. And that pop in 2002 when he came back in Madison Square Garden in January was absolutely ridiculous. And he was the biggest heel in the company when he left. And literally that just goes to show everyone respected what he did to get back. Everyone respected him as an in-ring competitor, and they popped for him when he came out because he worked his ass off to get back. With Daniel Bryan, it's the same kind of thing. He was already the most loved guy in the company, and now you're taking him out because he's injured. Show him getting better, show him rehabbing, and show him on a quest to come back and regain his title that the enemy, the Authority, stripped off of him. And that'll make people just pop like insane when he comes back, SummerSlam, Night of Champions, whatever they got to do. We know Night of Champions is going to be booked like a WrestleMania because they want network subscriptions. So if it's me and it's like what you guys said, Night of Champions is the perfect place. But I would also not be surprised if they don't push him to try to come back at Battleground. I wouldn't be surprised.
They'd be doing themselves a disservice.
I understand, but they just don't have enough main event guys. That's where we are.
If it's Battleground and the WWE Network, they're going to get their numbers regardless, right? And I want to see the numbers for Payback and see how well they did, but I think they can get away with something at Battleground for sure. Money in the Bank will be a success just because of the gimmick.
Right. Well, yeah, no, I agree. But Battleground's one of those things where it's in between SummerSlam and Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and they're going to have some good headline on there. And if they don't have it, then they're going to be pressuring Daniel Bryan to come back, and it could be disastrous for his career. But that's where we leave off. We got the kickoff show going live in an hour on the WWE Network. I know that they're going to be pushing that blockbuster announcement, which will go live at 8 o'clock on the USA Network, with the Authority hitting the ring first, likely with Daniel Bryan and the titles. Honestly, after John Cena appeared last week to verbally bitch slap Stephanie, I could see Kane and John Cena coming out during the segment as well. I don't know in what fashion, shape, or form, but I could see it happening. And that's where we are. So thanks for watching Wrestling Warm Up. Thanks Warhood. Thanks Walter. Thanks AB for joining us. You can follow them at The Real Warhood, at Walter Sports, and at Glassmode ALB on Twitter. I'm Doug McDonald at Doug O'Mac. Join us at Wrestle Rumors tonight on Twitter, at Wrestle Rumors, for live Twitter coverage. And, of course, make sure that you tune in to Wrestle Reaction on WrestleReaction.net following Raw each and every week, each and every pay-per-view. Those guys, Frank and Joe, do a great job of recapping what happens, and make sure that you subscribe to Wrestling Rumors Radio to get daily podcasts from us. Each one of us do one each day. We try to bring you, our opinions and thoughts on all these different stories breaking. Make sure that you subscribe to that on iTunes and Stitcher, or you can just listen to it on the website. It's up to you. The world is your oyster with us at WrestlingRumors.net. We're just appreciative and thankful that you even come to our site, listen to our podcasts, and watch our shows. And even in Warhead's case, and Patrick's case, and in Jazz's case, and a bunch of different people's cases, they even participate in our shows, in our predictions, and in our vast array of things that we're bringing you guys daily. So we thank you, we love you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Enjoy Raw.